Hello again. It's been a while. I'm sorry, but I've been kind of busy in real life. But I have something to make up for it. This is a game I enjoyed when I was growing up. However, it is not a perfect game by any means. It's called Mystic Heroes. Sometimes when you search for this game online, you get Sonic Heroes, a totally different game. It's a beat 'em up style game released in 2002, similar to Dynasty Warriors or something like that, but it's more for kids. While doing a little research, I discovered that this game is actually a follow up to two previous games that were only released in Japan. And I kind of wish that they did release it outside of Japan because the first one is a tactical RPG game, kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, and I love that game. I just wish it was translated to English. This game has multiple versions. There's a GameCube version as well as a PS2 version. The version that I am playing is the PS2 version because that's the one I have. But mainly it's the same game, it's just the PS2 version came out a little bit later, so they added additional characters and runes and gameplay modes that isn't in the GameCube version of the game. The ratings for this game is kinda average. And I kind of have to agree with that. This game is pretty average. It's fun, but it's not anything to write home about. I'm gonna play you a little bit of the plot, but it's pretty general.
It is time for our return. How can we escape this infernal cell?
It is no use. We're trapped here forever.
There is a way out. Remember the legend of the Dragon Star. This is our key. This star holds an endless and incredible power.
Indeed, the Dragon Star is powerful. It's only in position once a millennium.
Anyone can draw from this power. Anyone. We must act quickly. Now, Emperor Kang, realize your destiny. Seize the power and set us free.
Yes, there will be no better opportunity to make our escape. I call upon the Dragon Star. Give to me your power. Make me invincible. Yes. Feel the power. The dragon orb is mine. Rise. I fear that this power is still not strong enough.
Fear not. Our power will grow with the orb, as it feeds on the fear of others.
It's decided. Beware, mystic warriors. For vengeance will be mine. Kang will once again write history. Mystic warriors, be afraid.
Also, that is not a star. It might be a comet, but it's not a star. So the story follows characters Shiga, Lani, Tai, and Naja, who we have to assume are the mystic heroes. First thing I need to say is that the characters seem over-designed. I get that the developers probably didn't want generic main characters, but seriously, look at this. There's just so much here, but even better than that, is the voice acting.
What was that thing?
I followed that thing to here. Emperor Kang and his generals escaped. Beware, we are surrounded.
Even here, evil awaits us.
Let us go, Shiga.
They are using the Dragon Orb for power.
But Master Gan, isn't the Dragon Orb only a legend?
Kai's enemy? Ha!
You cannot resist us. Be afraid.
So I guess I should explain the gameplay. Basically, you fight hordes of enemies and you try to make your way to the end of the stage to fight a boss. Sometimes there's multiple people, sometimes there's just one. Sometimes the bosses come to find you. It just depends on the level. The fighting in this game, there's just your regular combo attacks with your weapon. You have a direct spell where you can do an elemental energy blast of some kind right in front of you. You have a target spell where you can aim at enemies from a distance. There's also a jump spell, so if you jump into the air, you can do a pretty strong attack that attacks enemies around you or in front of you. There's different jump spells that target either in front of you or around you. You also have a sword spell where you empower your weapon and you can do like a combo attack. The elements in this game is wind, ice, lightning, and fire. And each character can mix and match whatever elements they have available to them by using the runes that you find or collect throughout the game. But every character also has a natural affinity with a particular element. So like Shiga has wind, Naja is fire, Tai is lightning, and Lani is ice. Which means that when you have that affinity, you actually can use stronger abilities than your current level is, only in that element. So for example, if you are level 2 in direct spells as Tai, he can use level 2 fire, wind, and ice abilities, but he can use level 3 lightning abilities because he's naturally a lightning person. This mostly doesn't matter, but it kind of will once you get access to the rare level 5 runes, which is when you complete like certain game modes or at least complete the game, you get like a special one that only that character can use. And that's because the maximum level for all of the abilities is level 4. So if you are level 4, then you can use level 5 abilities in your element. This game also has stats. So you have your health and you have your magic, which is just the energy bars at the bottom of the screen. But you also have attack, defense, rune attack, and rune defense. These increase by picking up items that are dropped after defeating enemies. And sometimes they're found around the level, hidden inside like pots or statues or stuff that you can break. You're likely to get these from enemies if you do a high combo attack or a bunch of kills at one time. And with that, each character also has their own strengths and weaknesses. So like Lani is probably the weakest physically, but she's the best when it comes to magic. Tai is also pretty good at magic, but he's really slow. And Shiga is sort of your well-rounded character. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. He leans a little bit more physical attack than magic, but he's pretty balanced. And then Naja is your character that's high physical attack, but terrible at magic. And so I mentioned throughout the game that you collect runes that you find sometimes in levels, sometimes after you complete a stage and you get a high score, you get rewarded one, or you get them by completing the story mode for each character. And then there's also survival mode, which is really difficult. I did it once, I'm not doing it again. I have all the runes, so I'm playing the game right now with all of them. One other thing that they can do is that some runes have a stat buff attached to it, so like you can get additional magic, additional health, additional attack power, or whatever. Collecting all of these makes the game kind of fun, so You have access to new abilities, and you have additional stats if you need it. Okay, so the story. So basically, you have to two characters are following one story and two other characters are following another, but they meet in the middle. So Shiga and Lani are together at the beginning, and they're going along until we meet up with Tai and Naja. But at the same time, Tai and Naja start their story. So basically, it turns out like the first three stages are more or less covered by everybody, but in slightly different orders because they kind of went there at different times. But from stage 4 on, we're all together. In a general sense, Tai and Naja have the more difficult game, especially Naja because she has the highest attack power, and Lani has the generally easiest game because she has the lowest attack power. So what that kind of looks like is that in some levels, there's just slight adjustments to the level. There's places that only Naja can jump to because she can jump the best out of everybody. There's some secret hidden places sometimes for certain characters that doesn't exist for other people. It just depends on how it looks when you play the game. You'll notice a slight difference when you're playing with other characters, but it's the same stage. Sometimes even the boss fights are slightly different or more difficult. Sometimes one character fights a certain kind of boss and then Naja has something else, or she has additional enemies that exist on the battlefield that doesn't exist for other people. I'm going to start explaining the stages from the point of view of Shiga and Lani because that's how I started for this gameplay. However, I did play a little bit with everybody because I wanted to show a little bit of everybody in the recording. So that's how it's going to start. Stage 1, part 1, for Shiga and Lani is pretty basic. You're just making your way to the end of the level and you fight a giant bear. I guess he's a robot bear. Throughout all of the stages, there is hidden items and stuff all over, including runes. There's always a one rune per stage, except for a boss stage, so you have to look for that. The second part of stage 1 is an open battlefield with lots of enemies. Of course, there's like 2 enemies that are like bosses. They're like mini bosses technically, but because it's the beginning of the game, they're treated like the main boss, but we'll fight these same characters many times throughout the whole game. Stage 1-3 is a giant phoenix-like bird that's waiting to attack us, and there's a lot of enemies along the way. For this same stage, when Tai and Naja get here, they're actually fighting 2 evil mystics, so it's a slightly more difficult battle. But it's just the difference in the gameplay to make the level slightly different. Stage 2-1 is a swamp area. You're really slow when you're here because you have to wade through the water, so you want to spend as much time outside of the water if you can. It's a really terrible time for Tai because he's the slowest character. And the final boss here is a snake man monster. I'm not sure what to call him. I think his name is Mamba. Stage 2-2, you're climbing a mountain area, and there's a lot of annoying boulders that seem to fall all over the place, especially in the exact spot you are standing. So there's that. For stage 2-3, there's actually another separate boss fight kind of thing. So Shiga and Lani fight a giant dragon, and Tai and Naja have a separate boss fight where they fight with a giant tiger that runs around in a circle, and it keeps trying to dodge you as you try to attack it, but it shoots long distance attacks towards you, so it's another annoying kind of thing. Stage 3 has 2 parts. It's basically a large battlefield kind of place. Tai and Naja are working with Mira, and Shiga and Lani are working with Kirin. And you're just kind of trying to take out enemies and stop a war from occurring. Nothing too crazy. We fight a large crab monster. That's one cool kind of thing.
Hey,
Tai and Naja, why are you here?
Master Gin told us to follow you here. What the?
I wonder what that little dragon wants.
We just came from Mount Hoshi. We meant to lose it, but it followed us here.
Forget about it. Let's go.
So from stage 4, we all join up together. This is the first stage where you have to fight these monsters that don't flinch when you attack them. They are more difficult because of it, but they aren't actually that strong, so it's not a big deal. But they are considered undead. I'm not sure how they're different from all of the other enemies that seem undead, but yeah. They also can be resurrected by other enemies that we haven't seen yet, but they're coming up. So yeah, there's that. And the stage itself is just like basically a maze. You're trying to make your way to the front of the, I guess, castle or something. And you just have to go the correct way because there's some paths you can't follow. Some bridges fall. If you go to a certain direction, enemies will spawn. It's not too crazy, but once you get there, each character has their own little dialogue that they say. My personal favorite is Lani.
I'd better hurry.
Part 2 of stage 4 is kind of long, but it's one of the best stages to get your stat boosted, so I would take advantage of that. Basically, just gather as many enemies as you can into the smaller hallways and corridors, and then just do a really high kill combo. Part 3 is a boss fight. It's with Shiva. She kinda cheats, but we'll get more into that. All of the main enemies in this game cheat a little bit, some more than others, but man, we'll get to that when we get there. Stage 5 is probably the longest in the entire game, or at least it feels that way because they drag it out so much. So you're working with Raja this time, and if you are Tai or Naja, you have Ariel with you. If you are Shiga or Lani, you have Captain Dax. Stage 5-1 is practically the same for everyone, except there's some places that is pretty high up that only Naja can reach. So if you're looking for the rune for the level, check with her, she may be able to get it. So stage 5-2 is probably the most annoying stage of the game. You're climbing another mountain again, but this time you have opportunities to accidentally jump back down or fall off or get hit off. And you have to reclimb back up where you were. Enemies are respawning every time you go somewhere different, and like it makes your characters, or at least your team members, want to go to where the enemy is, and instead of going the way that you want them to, so you have to just leave them behind. It's not difficult, it's just annoying. I mean, I think it's basically the way the game is designed to keep your allies busy so that way they don't like try to help you out too much, because it makes it harder for you if you have to do everything by yourself because they're distracted. But the thing is that they constantly ask you for help, so you have to go back and help them, because anytime your allies are surrounded and they can't defend themselves, they can get defeated, and so that hurts your score. And if you're trying to get the rune for high score, you can't do that. So it's just annoying. So stage 5-3 is a boss fight with Kai, and he at one time was supposed to be on our side, but then he joined the bad guys, I guess. I read about this character in the game, like in the options and other stuff, but they never actually say this on screen. So I kind of feel like that's a missed opportunity. But it's in the game somewhere. You have to just look for that information. Anyhow, it's a pretty standard fight. It can be difficult for like your first few times. I'm not having trouble because I have pretty good stats right now, but I know that it is possible for the first few times that this is hard.
Kai's enemy? Ha!
Who the... Where have they gone?
They have taken your friends and returned to Emperor King.
I didn't know you could talk.
I need your help. The dragon orb is a part of me. Please return it or I will die. If Emperor King continues to use it, the unspeakable will happen.
Take a look at Naja. She's not having any of this. So stage 6 has the best music in the game in my opinion. We're in some caves, lots of enemies, standard fare. But the boss fight here is pretty unique. You have to fight like these two sort of robot things, where one is mostly affected by physical attacks, so you can't use magic. The other one is affected by magic, so you can't use physical attack. So it's a sort of a cool kind of thing you gotta do there. Stage 6-2 has an enemy rush at the end. Throughout stage 6, there's more of a theme of hitting switches and turning off like traps and stuff. So that's kind of what you're doing throughout this stage. Stage 6-3. This cheating bitch, and I'm sorry for my language, but there's no other word to describe this cheating bitch. So terrible. If you get caught in her attacks, she will not stop. She just like keeps going, and like the whole fight is like against you. Like the enemies can't be killed because she can just bring them back. And then you're fighting whatever character that you were teamed up with in stage 5. So if you were Naja and Tai, you're fighting against Ariel at the same time because she's controlling them. Or if you had Shiga or Lani, you're fighting against Captain Dax. So like she's constantly coming at you. She uses freezing attacks. She has a blast that keeps attacking you, and like there's no break. So if you get caught in her attack, that's kind of it. So just know that. And she cheats. So she really is like one of the worst cheaters in the game. So there's just that. But other than that, I like stage 6. I don't like her. So after that fight, your team member returns back to normal, but they can't continue with us anymore because they're weakened by their fight. So they go back to Master Gen, and we go on. Stage 7 has 4 parts, and they're pretty much the same for all the characters. There isn't really much change. Parts 2 and 3, you are by yourself, and part 4 is a boss fight, so you already are by yourself. Stage 7-1 has a theme of teleporters, so you stand on a little teleporter to get to other parts of the map. There is one hidden rune that you have to look for. I'll just kind of show you where that is because I felt like it took me forever to find it, so in case someone wants to look for it. Other than that, the levels are pretty standard. There's nothing really to write home about. Stage 7-2, you're climbing around on rooftops trying to get your way into the tower. Stage 7-3 is the tower. And then stage 7-4, you're on the rooftop fighting with Emperor Kang. Emperor Kang also cheats pretty badly too. The fight is really difficult because he's mostly just staying in the air. So you have to find a way to attack him from a distance most of the time. And it's just kind of difficult because he's pretty strong. I recommend fighting him once you have pretty good stats and stuff because it will take you a long time without it.
You will not defeat me. Sun, come forth!
Huh? That doesn't look like Cyrus.
I give you the power of the Dragon Orb. Now we can fight together. fear to the orb is the only way to achieve ultimate power. Be afraid. So much power.
Cyrus! His own father!
That child is no longer a human being. He has no soul.
What's going on?
Look out! Get out of here!
Ah!
Bonnie!
Ah!
Stage 8 is all boss fights. Ultimately, you're going to fight Cyrus, who is a child of Emperor King and Shiva, but now he's in his adult form. And then in the last fight, he transforms into a monster. The fight that you have with him combines all of the cheating you previously experienced. So everything possible that you saw, attacking from a distance, making copies of yourself, doing freezing attacks and then lightning and then blasting you for multiple times without any breaks. He does all of that. So get ready for that. Once you defeat him, the small dragon says everything is good again and he can go back to his dragon star. And each member of the team decides to go their own way after the adventure, hoping to meet again under peaceful circumstances. So this game is pretty simple and fun. I mean, it can be difficult sometimes by the cheating, but it also can be pretty easy. I mean, you are able to play through the game, save your progress, and restart again and inherit your stats you had from the last time, and just keep doing that so you can keep building your character up, and then you can just go to the end of the game once you have the stats you need. So it can be easy. I played through the game legit each time that I played. So yes, I played it again and again. And eventually it just becomes kind of simple because you have enough attack power and you have enough defense and magic attack. So it does get better. I just want to point out that reading the credits, you can't see who did the voice work for the characters. And I just wondered to myself, why would anyone want to hide the fact that they were part of this game? I mean, if you listen to all the voice acting you heard so far, wouldn't you want to know who did this? If you're interested in playing something that isn't too complicated, then this might be something for you, but I can't honestly say that it's a good game, but I had fun with it, so, there's that. Fun fact, I actually have 2 copies of this game, not on purpose. I was looking for this game online and on eBay, and I happened to buy a copy that didn't work. So I sent that one back and I bought another one. And then when I was looking around at like a store in the mall that happens to sell like old games, I just got lucky one time and there it was. There was a copy right there. So I bought it and that one worked. And then the second one from eBay came. So yeah, I have 2 copies of this game. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with somebody. Maybe someone you know will like this. Anyhow, I'll see you all again on the next one. See ya!